Greetings, great things. It is Q Talks once again. Welcome back to another episode of Black Swan Theory. Today, the title is The Way You Dress Equals the Way You Are Addressed. Okay? I have some notes, so if you see me glancing downwards, that is what I am referring to. I have some notes on my other phone. And yeah, let's just get straight into the topic. So, for me, the first reason why I wanted to talk about this is because I do feel that it relates and ties into this community that we're building here. As a black swan, you already know or you are familiar with people misinterpreting you or assuming based off of your appearance things about you or being thrown off, once they speak to you because of the assumption that they made of you based on surface level things such as your appearance or the way you present yourself, right? So, yeah, to introduce this idea, remember and keep in mind people say don't judge a book by its cover, right? But the truth is, most people do this instinctually. It's the same reason why we have another saying that says first appearances matter. The way you present yourself is not just about clothes, it's about energy, it's about your identity, your boundaries, and your self worth. Black swans, we don't fit in, right? We don't follow the status quo, we redefine the norm. When you understand that presentation itself is a language and people treat you on who you appear to be instead of who you actually are, right? And not only that, they treat you on who you appear to be and who you believe yourself to be. That is where the real power and energy about realizing that the way you dress equals the way you are dressed in comes into play. And for me, I love this topic particularly because I do love fashion. If you know me personally, you know this about me. And I feel that from a young age, one of the things that I loved about fashion and one of the natural gifts or flares that I had for fashion is being able to look at someone's outfit and see how they're feeling that day or understand things about them, but especially know how somebody is feeling based on how they choose to present themselves on a day to day basis, right? So, yeah, let's get further into this. Presentation as self identity, okay, and not performance. The way that you appear isn't about conforming, it's about expressing your truth. So, what that means is that the way you choose to present yourself on a day to day basis, it's a choice. And we live, in a place, in a way, in a part of the world where we have the choice in how we get up and get dressed every day. And we have the right to wear whatever we want. We have the ability or more freedom financially and just accessibility wise to more variety of garments, which allows us to again expand our level of expression through what we adorn ourselves with, how we dress ourselves, right? Compared to other places of the world where what people are able to wear is restricted on resources, you know, what is going on around them, like society, societal norms, etc., etc. You know what I mean? So, dressing is a form of narrating yourself. It's a way that you communicate your own standards without saying a word. And when you dress intentionally, you support this, right? You support the identity that you are growing into. If you watch my videos, for example, the way I look in this video is different to how I look in some of my other videos. It's different to how I look in my last video, and it's different to how I've looked in previous and older videos when I was younger. This all gives a different perspective, right? And even though it's all me, you can watch each video and get a different feel for me and a different feel for where I'm at. The same way that you can watch this video and get a completely different feel for where I am at based on how I have chosen to come on here and to present myself, right? And this is just from the head up. Obviously, you cannot see what I'm wearing, but it kind of all goes into, what I'm talking about. When it comes to clothes, again, what you wear, it tells the world how to approach you, but it also reminds you how to approach yourself, right? Because it's you that's putting on these clothes, it's you that's choosing to put one, two, and three together and step out of the house. When I say that I used to have a flair for being able to tell how people felt based on the way they were dressed, when I was in school, and again, because I love fashion, I would always pay attention to the outfits that my teachers would wear, especially because going to school in London, secondary school, even primary school also, but I'm talking about secondary school, so middle school. I, we were in uniform. It's common to have uniform. So we don't get to wear what we want. We don't get to express ourselves, but the teachers, you know, the staff do. So I would always pay attention to what my teachers were wearing. And I could always tell, particularly with, the female teachers, not only with the female teachers, but particularly with them, how they were feeling based on the outfits that they were wearing. And I could tell, okay, today we better behave in class because Miss is not in a good mood. She's not in a good mood. Or today, she's put this outfit together and she's feeling herself. She's teaching with flair, with energy. These are things that I was able to pick up on from a young age. And these are the things that translate into our life. But we don't often think about these things. We don't think about the importance behind these things. We don't think, even though we're very aware of it, we don't often utilize and really concern ourselves with the fact that you can change the way people respond to you at any given moment by simply changing your appearance. And you are able to change your appearance whenever you feel like it. So if you have a problem or you feel that you're not being you're not getting the response that you want, right, from the outside world, start thinking to yourself, what can I do to change that? How can I present myself to get what I want? That's why they say, you know, if you're going to an interview, dress for the job, dress like you work there, dress for the life you want. There's a reason why all of these things are a part of what we understand in life, because it's very important. Again, the way that how do we understand each other? Through perceiving each other. So the way you choose to allow others to perceive you says a lot without you having to say a single thing. This I love how everything's tying into my notes. So this ties into what I was gonna say next. So the energetic side, you dress from the inside out, right? So your appearance is more about your energy than it is about your clothing. Okay, that's why they say it's not what's on you, it's what's in you. There are people that can put on the finest of fashions, but it just doesn't look right. And there are people that can wear the cheapest clothes and have people approaching them, asking them, what designer is that? Where did you get that from? Because of how they carry it. So that's the reason why you can wear certain things that make you feel powerful, make you feel good, because it has to do with how closely it reflects and relates to you, right? And how you're feeling within yourself more than anything. And it's the same reason why when you go out of your way, for example, to dress like others and look like others, or to do something that maybe isn't natural to you, not by trying a new way of presenting yourself, but for example, like, let's say this is kind of an extreme example, but let's say if religiously you are being told by other people to dress a certain type of way, or you are in a relationship with somebody who is controlling your appearance, the way you dress, it's energy. So you could look good, but putting on these garments, knowing that it's not your choice, it's going to shrink you and you're not going to come across like you feel good, like you look good, you know? Your identity can change based on your style. And this is something that I'm very aware of. Again, because I love fashion, I would say that my style is one that is always changing and evolving. I can present myself differently based on how I feel. But currently, I am going through like a transformation where I am more aware of the clothes that I'm wearing, how they're making me feel, what I want to feel like, what I want to look like, how I want to be perceived, you know, and how the clothes that I have now match that or don't. I, again, because I love fashion, can present myself in a myriad of ways, but it still isn't what there isn't one that I would tell you that this is what I would pick, you know, for a day to day look. I'm still figuring that out. Maybe it's this, you know, you guys let me know what you think. But especially fashion wise, I'm still figuring out exactly how I want to feel now. And this can go into so many things like textures, colors, because even these things have a huge impact and significance. If you look into color theory, if you look into like textures and the effect that they have on you, and how, you know, the appearance of certain textures signify certain things as well to somebody perceiving them, then you start to understand that, okay, when I wear this, when I choose this, why am I choosing it? And also, what could that signal to the outside world? And I think a beautiful subject, again, to like counteract that example I gave, is that when you heal, when you become more in touch with yourself, you start to see your appearance and the way you present yourself change. You know, there are a lot of people, especially because of the world and society we live in, growing up, people can struggle with insecurities and things like this. And this can cause, that's why teenagers, and when you're in that teenage phase, you look at yourself or you look at pictures or clothes and you're just like, because one is still forming one's identity, one is still experimenting and not sure and feeling unsure. And regardless of what you're putting on, and even if in that time frame you thought, yeah, you had that on, you look good, the unsurety of it all translates, right? Even if it didn't translate to you then, the you now that's more sure of yourself can look at that version of you and see exactly what is going on. And that itself is again an example of how you dress and how that translates even to yourself, you know, let alone to other people. So, yeah, I hope this topic resonates, by the way, and let me know what you guys think. I wasn't sure if it was one that was maybe a bit more leaning towards the ladies, but I think everybody can actually relate to this topic. So do let me know what you guys think and comment your own thoughts. Do you think what you wear matters? Do you think what other people wear matters? How have you been, addressed by people based on your appearance? Let's talk about it. So, okay, society, right? Society, stereotypes, and respect. Because when we're talking about these things, we can start to talk about stereotypes. There is a difference, right, about how the world responds to people, how they look, especially women. You know, appearance is a whole another ball game when you are a woman because appearance is some form of currency and energy when you are a woman, right? There's a whole nother level of importance that society and the world and this reality places on appearance. And when you are a black woman, there is even more layers to this, you know? But without going too far into that, I will say that when you are reborn, right, spiritually, emotionally, and mentally, your wardrobe changes, your appearance changes because you changed. And one thing that we need to be aware of, and I think as women, especially as younger women, some of us are not taught this enough or we don't understand this concept until we get older. But there is a difference between attention, between attraction and between respect and admiration. Society often mislabels women, can judge women and sexualize women because of their appearance, because of how they look. And there is a lot that I can say on this, but a big thing to know and to understand is that the power is in your hands. And it's so much more about how you feel about yourself than what anybody thinks. And the more you do what makes you feel good, you dress in a way that makes you feel good, and you present yourself for yourself, the more that will reflect outwardly rather than looking outwards for that inspiration, that help, that validation, and then thinking that that's going to make you look better or feel better. 9 times out of 10, it does not work that way. An example I can give is that when I was younger, and I've always been like this with my fashion, but now I'm a bit different. But when I was younger, I was very like, I want to look unique, different. I don't want to have the same style as other people. I don't want people to know, not that in a gatekeepy way, but it's like I don't want the outfit on the mannequin in the store that everyone goes to. You know, I want my outfit to be like, where did she get that? Like, you know, there you don't even know where to start thinking where I got this because of how I've put it together, and because of how I used to carry myself and dress myself when I was younger, I always, well, I'm talking when I was 16, 17, 18, 19, people always were intrigued by my appearance because they were like, you know, your fashion taste, it's amazing. Where are you going? I would often get that question like, where are you going? What are you doing today? And I'm like, this is like I'm going to see my friends, or I'm going shopping, or I'm just like going about my day. But people are thinking I'm going maybe somewhere specific, which even then I didn't really think about it that much, because to me it was normal to do this because that's what I like. I like fashion. So for me it was just how I was expressing myself. But to the outside world, it was like, well, who is this girl, or where is she going? Why is she dressed like this? Why is she dressed so tailored, like put together or apart? And people would always think that I'm older as well because I put myself together in a way that most people my age did not put themselves together, or I did not dress the way a lot of people my age that live in my area at that time would dress, right? So I was 17 and people would think I'm 20 something. And I've always had that, not only because of the way I carry myself and speak, but also because of the way that I presented myself. That was, I think, a key reason why people perceived me in that way. And I'm not saying that that's necessarily a positive thing. I'm just telling you what my experience is and was. And I'm also showing you how it could have very much been the opposite. You know, I could still be the person that I am, but because I might have dressed exactly like everybody else or try to dress a certain kind of way, people would not have approached me like that, or people would have automatically guessed that I was a certain kind of age because of how I present myself, right? So never forget, especially as a woman. Sorry, fellas, I care about you too, but this is for the girls, for the girlies right now. Your clothing, right, can shift. Your appearance can shift the way people speak to you. I have experienced it myself firsthand before I even knew what I was experiencing, right? And especially as a black woman, the most beautiful thing about being a black woman is that you can present yourself in a million ways, right? In so many ways. And there isn't a style, a hairstyle that you cannot do, you know? And when you start to realize this in certain parts of the world, you can be perceived and treated so differently just because of your appearance, right? So, to even give you a very recent example, what I'm wearing now here in London, you know, it's tea, as they would say. You know, the girlies love it. I'm loving it. I'm feeling myself. I can't lie. However, in another part of the world, this might not be considered as attractive. So when I was just on holiday, right? If you saw my recent videos, I was in Spain and you saw I had my braids, my cornrows. Over there, everybody was looking at me and attracted to my hair. Not only people that looked like me, but also people of the country Spain. Why? Because they don't, you know, I'm not the standard, the normal standard of beauty, but I am considered very beautiful as a black woman there. But not only because of that, my hair is something that they don't see often, right? They don't get to experience, because even if they do see black women maybe out there, a lot of them may look like this. They may not have their cornrows or their natural you know, hair that those Spanish people are not used to seeing. So to them, it's like, whoa, who's this with the cornrows? You know, so to them, they're like, this is a level and standard of beauty that is like, whoa. And even for the women, because they are not gonna do their hair like that. Most of them don't do their hair like that. Most of them look like this. So to them, this is normal to see. So seeing something different to that is so beautiful. And then, for example, if you go to Africa where everybody has cornrows, I wouldn't even stick out maybe walking around in cornrows. It doesn't mean I'm not considered beautiful, but what I'm showing you is how your appearance and your location, what you're doing, where you are, all these things can have such a big impact on the way you are perceived, right? So you should choose your image consciously. Don't choose it reactively as a woman, okay? That is one of my biggest messages for you of any age, older, the same age, my age group, younger. Don't react. Don't choose it based on others and society and thinking, oh my God, I don't look good enough like this, or oh, my body isn't this, or oh, I need to look more like this, like them, and then trying to mold everything based on that. Yes, you can take inspiration for yourself, but always remember that you are the canvas. You are what you're working with. It's how you feel about yourself inside, and you know that the same way that you can look amazing like this tomorrow, even if you the next day, you know, are like all the way zipped up, your hair is crazy, everything is crazy, you know who you are. And that is the energy that speaks so much more than being so hung up on how people are perceiving you. That doesn't enhance your beauty. What enhances your beauty is knowing that your beauty is within you, and then finding ways that you want to express it on yourself, not for the outside world necessarily. Yes, maybe in some ways to get a certain kind of interaction or reaction, but mainly because this is what looks good on you, this is what compliments you, and this is what you like. So, as Black Swans, we disrupt stereotypes simply by being who we are, right? But how we dress can either reinforce the box they put us in or break it. That is even why my appearance is going to continue to shift in a certain direction for as long as I choose to make it that way. And maybe I'll change my appearance in all kinds of ways, because one of the main things I want to present here, which is why I don't mind if there are different ways that I look necessarily, because I'm showing you that it's about more than just the way that I look. So even if you like the way that I look, or if you don't like the way that I look, I hope you are hearing what I am saying. So to go into this a bit more, when it comes to your authenticity versus your image, right? Again, always dress for yourself. Sorry, I was like looking at my notes. What did I write? Always dress for yourself and not for validation. When you know the environment that you're walking into, yes, you can tailor yourself for that and recognize that and know how to present yourself. Always know when your image is aligned with you and when it's being performative, okay? And always check in with yourself before dressing yourself. Because remember, it's about you, it's not about the outside and them. And sometimes we can get so caught up on that. And sometimes that can even affect the way we look, because then you end up dressing yourself in a way that isn't even you, because you're too worried and thinking about how other people are going to perceive you. And it shows. That's why sometimes women wonder why they are approached more when they are not wearing any makeup and stuff like that. And sometimes it is for other reasons, but sometimes it is just because you seem more relaxed. So it's always about your energy, you know? And your appearance, it should not be a mask. It should be a mirror, okay, of what's happening within. And I feel like I kind of said that, but we tie it in even further. It's not about hiding or covering or filtering, It's about like projecting in the best way. So, to kind of conclude and tie this all up, dressing as rebirth and self-respect, right? On this journey of becoming, every version of you has had a wardrobe. And as you step into your next life, into your next chapter, because this is what I'm doing, right? Ask yourself, does the way I dress, the way I appear, does it honor the woman or the man, the person that I am becoming? Because how you dress shapes how life addresses you. I have a couple questions that you guys can reflect on. I hope you guys like these little reflection questions. Let me know if you like journaling or just meditating. And check in and ask yourself the following things, right, before we leave, or comment it below. What identity am I reinforcing through my style? Am I expressing myself or am I hiding myself? That one is a very deep question. You may have to ask yourself that question several times to get the real answer. Okay. And lastly, what does my next level self look like? Whether you always had an idea of yourself from when you were a child and you're still trying to live that out and look like that, or whether you have been through many phases and you're where you are right now and you're ready and willing to change and you're trying to figure out what that change looks like. Ask yourself, picture it in your mind's eye, see how that person would wake up, what they would feel like, what those fabrics would feel like on their skin, what type of things would they be doing in their day, and because of those things that they're doing, how would they dress themselves? And as always, take care of yourself, know who you are, and know that your rarity is so special to me, and you're always welcome here. And I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much. Take care and bye bye.